Welcome to 2-Bit Gaming. Today's topic, the 3D chip wars. The Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis were locked in an epic battle. Nintendo's solution was the Argonaut-developed Super FX chip. Sega entered the 3D market with the SVP chip. Dirt Tracks FX has the most annoying sound effects.
You know, once you pass everyone, you won't hear it anymore. So, just stop sucking.
I can't! I just can't!
Here, play Star Fox. At least if you suck in that, it still sounds good.
Yeah. Dirt Tracks FX has some of the most annoying sound effects. Just hearing it again after all these years makes me want to put my head in an oven. The Super FX family of games is a mixed bag. Star Fox is definitely my favorite, for more reasons than I have time to recount. As for Virtual Racing, well, it's a mixed bag too. As the first and only SVP chip game, it holds up pretty well today. Its polygonal graphics have a sort of retro charm now. Speaking of though, there are very few textures in the game. Nearly everything is made of single color polygons. Unlike Star Fox that uses scaling sprites to add detail here and there, Virtual Racing relies on polygons. I think Star Fox wins the style contest, but when you consider Virtual Racing was a revolutionary arcade game using the powerful Model 1 arcade board, the scaled down Genesis version actually pulls it off. For that, I think it was a huge technical success. With that said, it's a little disappointing that the game can't be used on all Genesis hardware and accessories. Super FX chip games can work on all Super Nintendos. The same can't be said for Virtual Racing. It gets a little confusing and has something to do with the way Genesis expansion hardware communicates. It works on the Genesis Model 1 and 2, but not the Model 3. It works with the Sega CD, CDX, and Sega Nomad, but not with the Sega 32X. Now, the game not working with the 32X isn't all that big a deal, since there's a 32X edition of the game called Virtual Racing Deluxe. It has nicer graphics, smoother gameplay, and 2 new tracks and cars. It's really quite impressive and still one of the few reasons to own a 32X. Unfortunately, there was a Sega Saturn version. I say unfortunately because for some reason it was developed by Time Warner Interactive instead of Sega. It doesn't have the tracks from the 32X version that I know of. However, it has several new tracks in a Grand Prix mode. The game is actually pretty fun, but it doesn't feel like the arcade version and is full of graphical glitches like pop-up and distortion. The menus and general presentation are amateurish at best and lazy at worst. Here, take a look at the N64 remake of Star Fox, compared to the original. Both great games, but the N64 edition was a huge improvement. Now look at Virtual Racing on the Genesis compared to the Saturn. Besides better frame rate and a higher resolution, it doesn't do anything to showcase the Saturn's 3D capabilities. Other Saturn racing games make it look like a joke.
Medium right, maybe. Long, easy left. Caution, hairpin. Passing the checkpoint.
kind of funny. Until the PS2 Sega Ages remake, the 32X version stood as the best home version of the game. Sad, but in my opinion, very true. Okay, I've gone on a bit of a tangent, so let's wrap things up by ripping open these games and taking a look at the chips themselves. There it is, hidden behind the black thermal adhesive and nestled between the RAM and ROM is the Mario Chip 1. Seriously, the label reads Mario Chip 1, not Super FX Chip. I'm not making it up, it stands for Mathematical Argonaut Rotation Input and Output. Or in other words, the Argonaut developed coprocessor for calculating geometry. Yeah, I'd probably go with Mario Chip 2. Here's the Virtual Racing SVP chip. It's about 4 times the size of the Super FX chip. I used to wonder why the game cartridge was bigger than a standard Genesis game. Well, it looks like it was to accommodate the oversized chip. In case you're wondering, that white gunk is thermal paste. It helps transfer heat to the heatsink. Yeah, this little sucker actually has a simple heatsink to help reduce core temperature. You don't see heat sinks that often in a video game cartridge. You know what? Actually, I've never seen it in any other game. It's not the technology that matters, it's the games. And both chips were used to make at least one great game, if not more. Now it's time for Kane's 2 Bits! 1. You're probably expecting me to pick a winner. Nintendo squeaked by and eventually won the 16-bit war. But this is about the 3D battle, and it's hard to say which chip is better. The Sega Virtual Processor is a much more impressive hardware, but it was expensive and only one game utilized it. You could say it was better for its graphical prowess, or the Super FX chip for its creative games. Yoshi's Island was as creative as a 2D side-scroller was back then. But then again, Virtual Racing was way ahead of its time. It's a hard decision. Of all the games, Star Fox is my favorite, if not one of my all-time favorite games. I still play it, so maybe it's the better chip. I just can't say. Could be a tie. 2. The Sega chip is better. That's my 2 bits. If you have any non-fanboy rants on today's topic, please leave a comment or video response. As always, I'm your humble 2-bit gamer. Thanks for watching.